Welcome. You're tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Michelle Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. I am your host, Michelle Pope, and it is exciting and always an honor to be with you. I hope this day is finding you well. It is rainy, damp, and cold here in California, but take a deep breath. We made it to Friday. I am so excited this morning because we have someone who will be joining us in a very few minutes. His name is Ken Stearns, and I will admit him in a few minutes. He is a father, a grandfather. He says he's a Midwestern boy. I love that. Writer, speaker, photographer, and a lyricist. He writes music as well, or words for music. He grew up in Chicago, but I'll let me bring him in so that you can meet him as I meet him for the first time here at Life is a Sacred Journey. Good morning, Ken. He's connecting. Hold on. You know, this virtual world we live in, we're at its mercy. Good morning, Ken.
It's so true, Felicia. We're just hanging. I'm just hanging on to whatever it gives me.
Whatever it gives me, yes. Well, I first of all want to welcome you to Life is a Sacred Journey. I am so honored that you're here this morning. And as we settle in, folks, go get your coffee, go get your tea, get some water, turn the volume up so that you can hear what I'm going to tell you about Ken. But get back here so that you can engage in this conversation as well. And good.
I love it.
To all of you. You know what? We made it. Take a deep breath. You made it. Another day. It's
another week, Felicia. It's Friday.
Yeah, another week. Yes. Another week. Yes. So Ken Stearns is, as I said before, a grandfather, father, and I love that he calls himself a Midwestern boy from Chicago there, and a writer, a speaker, somebody who is enjoying what I call the seasons of his life, right? He had a career, then he went over to another country and did some work over there, and then decided, I'm ready to go do something else. I got another chapter. I call them seasons. It's another season. And he got the tools and did what he needed to do. And I want him to tell you about this great adventure that he went on around his book. So his book is titled Dear God. I just ordered mine on Amazon, so get yours because
cool. Thank you.
Opportunity. Love that. Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity for you to engage those of you that belong to small groups and all gatherings that we're in. It's a wonderful book because it helps you to think about deeper the questions that we all have. That I had as a little girl growing up in New York, looking out at the sky, trying to figure out, Lord God, I'm a happy person. I live in a good house. I live in a good home. So why is it that people don't like me because my skin is brown? Right?
Yeah, weird question, right? Is it like, why? What is going on there?
I'm just Michelle Pope. Growing up, I haven't done anything to anybody, Lord, but I don't understand. And those questions that you constantly ask, you build upon those questions. So Dear God has, I think I have it right. Is it 144 questions?
In the jar for the show, it's 444.
Okay, so there's the jar, 444 questions.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, it looks great in the nebula. And he went around the country talking to people, something that, I want to do with Life is a Sacred Journey. So Ken and I are like kindreds. He doesn't know it yet. My new BFF. And
I love it.
We're going to talk. So Ken, I talked a little bit about your journey, but let's be a little bit more specific. So when you decided to leave the insurance world or the corporate, let's call it.
Corporate world. Good enough.
Yeah, the corporate world. What was that? What little button did you push, or what button was pushed in you that said, I need to live this next season a little bit?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I love your seasons. I stole something from one of my first guests. She called it her third act. And, and it's just exactly like the seasons. And it is, I think it's that thing where, the one act is coming to an end, or when a season is changing, right? When seasons are changing. We're humans. As long as you're self-aware, you'll feel the change, right? You'll feel either the spring coming or, and in my case, I'm moving from, I'm at somewhere at my end of my summer, I'm headed into fall, or maybe I'm in my fall and I'm headed to winter. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was time to start finding myself. And, it's kind of interesting. I'm doing a Plus Me motivational march. I'm doing a short speech for some kids in LA. I found this little program where they zoom you into a classroom and you can tell a story. And it's interesting because I was writing it yesterday, kind of getting the draft. And it said, what are a couple of challenges you faced in life? And what are your couple of achievements? And I kind of said, I think my challenge in life was finding out who I was and finding out who my friends were. And I think my greatest accomplishment in life right now is I think I found myself and I know who my friends are. And so it's finding, you're into the corporate career, and I don't think many of us know who we are. We don't really know ourselves. Especially if you've locked yourself away, who you are in a corporate facade, a suit, or whatever job you have too. You could be working in a kitchen, and it may not be you. Most of us are not lucky to find our passion. And so I think it is that hunt for finding out who I was, knowing that was a challenge in my life, still a question to find out who Ken was and what could I bring, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Yeah.
And I think work and corporate work is okay. I did a lot of good stuff, but it may not have been my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But it might have been helping me find my purpose and building what I needed when the war came, when the battle came, the game with buzzer, when the buzzer went, when the whistle blew, I had all this experience behind me to face what was in front of me.
Yes. And you also, I love the way you talk about self first. Here at Life is a Sacred Journey, I always tell folks, if you had met Michelle Pope in her 20s, many of you who are my friends and love me would not have, because I had on that facade. I had on my corporate suit. I got to make money. It's all about me. Look how bright I am. I have all this paper on the wall. Yippee, yippee, yay. And then people were dangling money at me. And I was just like a hungry tiger going after it. So relationships were nice, but they weren't that important. And now in this season of my life, with my chosen family and my family, I find that I have discernment around where to give my energy in love, right? Where
for sure.
Right, you talked about that a lot. I've looked at a lot of your interviews, and you talk about love, and love is this thing that is the crazy glue that binds humanity together. But for some reason, the hardest thing for us to do. And why can you've traveled now? You've asked questions in the jar. What do you think is what has happened to us that maybe we never have evolved to that place yet? I kind of feel that we did and kind of regressed over time, but never made the mark maybe. And maybe people like yourself and what we're trying to do here at Life is a Sacred Journey, we can change that by lifting up love as more than a sexual construct, but a construct that allows you to have the things you talk about, which I love: acceptance, compassion, forgiveness, empathy. I mean, wow. So talk about that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a great conversation, because I had a beautiful chat yesterday with somebody, and kind of the conclusion was, you're on the journey of love. Basically finding, what love, like you're looking to solve that question, and it is about love. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. The book. So I think, Michelle, you kind of touch on the book really well, and you kind of got that. So
do you have it with you?
I do have it with me, and
hold it up for
yeah. Let me get rid of my my distorted background so we can.
Okay. So there it is, my friends. Dear God, and it's letters to God. And
yeah.
So go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, so I'll explain a little of the construct of it. So the idea is there are 4 parts to the book, 4 chapter or 4 books within the book, if you would. So the first one is Book of Self, and then it's things related to you, and then Book of Others. So, but like Michelle, something between you and I, some attributes or some skill sets that I want to bring into a one-to-one human relationship. Mm-hmm. And then I have the Book of All, which is kind of more of a humanity, looking at, what are the skills and attributes you need to face the world with and your fellow humans as a group. Yes. And then the book of You, which was meaning God. And it could be God, it could be the universe, it could be, whatever your spiritual, wherever you're at on that spiritual spectrum, right? But I think wherever you're at, it's still about faith in something, right? And faith in yourself, or faith in God, and faith in the outcomes, faith, hope, and prayer. And prayer can be meditation, it could be mindfulness, but it could be prayer to on your hands and knees and praying for God. But those are things you get from that 4th part. So the Book of Self is all about, it's just 3 parts: yesterday's, today's, and tomorrow's. And I call that the battlefield of your mind. And, it's all here, right?
Yes.
Everybody listening, you're going to lay down tonight and you are going to go to war. Your demons will come out of their foxholes and out of the caves, and they're going to be running around spreading their lies and doing their thing. And, you got to send out the other troops to counter them. And so you can hopefully get to sleep and close your eyes and ignore and win the battle of your mind through how you look at your past and what you're doing today and how you think about your future. And then when you get to the book of Others, that's where you talked about acceptance, forgiveness, and compassion. And man, I think I had the first book in my own personal life pretty okay. I've been lucky to have sales training and been in sales, and I've got a good positive mental attitude. So I mostly win those wars.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, but, I totally get it.
And you're the same. You've got the same kind of outlook in life. You're the same drive, your same personality. Yeah. And, but holy cow, driving around the country and meeting people of all shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, religions, spiritual basis, my acceptance, forgiveness, compassion quotients have expanded. Let's just say I thought they might have been high, but I think I was sub 5 on everything. And I thought it was high, but I've reached some other levels on those. And I've learned to be way more accepting and to have compassion. And acceptance doesn't mean agreement or I approve, right? But I can accept how you got to where you are. I can accept your worldview. I can accept who you feel as a person. I'm totally okay with that. Doesn't mean I'm that person though. Doesn't mean I live that life.
Right.
So, and I've learned some of those delineations along the way. It's great. So it's quite comforting to know, what my position is now. And then I get to, then you get to humanity, and it's all about love, karma, treating people like you want to be treated. Basically it's a golden rule stuff, and service. What servitude can we do to fellow humans? What else can we do here for other people while we're here on this planet? We're all this big spinning ball, and you only got so many flips around the sun. Right. Can you be a good human while you're here and leave the place a little bit better than you found it, or than it was given to you? Because everything is a gift. Your first breath, your last breath is all a gift. You're squandering the gift right now if you're not thinking about how to make this place a better and more beautiful place with the fellow people we share this space with in this time. Yeah. And then it's all about faith, hope, and prayer, and whatever that means to you. And I think everybody. I had my guitar teacher he's this great guy, and we were once talking about atheism and spirituality and everything, and he said, Ken, everybody has faith. I said, well, I think atheists would argue with that. And he said, no, they have faith that there is no God. They believe. They also believe. everybody has faith. Faith that their idea of what the outcome will be what it is. So some of us believe we're going to get to the pearly gates and, to see St. Peter and and we're going to get judged. Other people kind of just think it's a little bit more of a 51% and I'm over the bar, like just be a good human and I'll be okay. Whatever's out there, I don't know.
Right.
And then there's people who believe that nothing happens, you die and it's over, and won't they get a surprise if they're wrong? Or won't other people get a surprise if they're wrong? So we all have faith. Anyway, back to love. I think for love, I think the problem with many of us is we don't love ourselves first. And if you can't, and this each letter I write has got 4 parts to it, where I break down my idea and kind of a conversation with God. And the love one is, isn't self-love the most important? Because if I don't love myself, I can't love somebody else. Mm-hmm. So then if I love myself, then I can truly love somebody else. Otherwise, it's dependent love. It's broken love. That's gonna be a problem.
Right.
And then you can actually love somebody else
Freely. It's not. You don't look at it as something you have to do. It's a giving freely, and it doesn't imprison. That's the other thing. The construct of love is so confining when in fact love is supposed to free you.
Yes. Yeah. But it's confining and also the other one is you don't know how to accept love back. And so this is love is it's so simple, but it's so complicated. Yes. You know what I mean? It's hard as hell to do. And then I think you can teach love. Yeah. This is when you get to the grandparents and you see people so comfortable in their own skin. They kind of love who they've become. They love the people around them. They've learned to have somebody say, I love you, and it warms their cup. It fills their cup. It doesn't make them nervous. It doesn't freak them out that somebody loves me. They love it. It warms their heart.
Yes. Yeah.
And then they can show people what love is. I think, and this is really like a pinnacle of being a human, is being able to show other people, what pure, true love looks like.
And Ken, one of the things that you just said just so resonates with me, because it is sort of this, my mantra for the last sort of decade of my life, is that just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I don't love you.
Oh yeah.
Please, if that's the parameter of our life, then it's weird, because I'm probably going to disagree with you a lot because I'm a different kind of bird. But that doesn't mean that I don't love you with all my heart. And I think there's a difference between like and love. And when I've begun to read the books of faith, I realize they're not talking about me liking anybody. They're talking about me loving people to the point where it doesn't matter if I like them or not. I would never disrespect them. I would never hurt them. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's the love of humanity. I don't have to like the political beliefs of somebody or blah, blah, blah. But boy, if I see them in a garden and they're enjoying tulips, I'm going to love them.
I know, it's so weird, right? As you get your head around this stuff, you do start to realize, I don't have to hate people, like just because they think something different. But like you said, I don't have to like that part of the person, but the human inside, we have one of the things, Michelle, is like this weird, when I had this theory in a way, and it was that basically most of us, and especially the questions in the jar, if we have a bell curve of how you'd answer questions and where your belief system is on the things in the book and the jar, we are so smashed together. I mean, the bell curve is like it's like a giant, it's a very narrow thing, and it just drops off. And then there's the fringe on the side. And somehow we've given the microphone to the fringe elements on every argument and the spotlight and they're shooting missiles over the regular people like us. People listen to the show. Most of us are normal humans, but somehow the lunatics have taken control of the microphone and the spotlight. I think most of us are not far apart on so many things. And, the attempt to highlight the differences is weird to me. And I don't really understand it. I'm much more of a, let's find common ground and go from there. And it seems we now take a position of, let's find out where we disagree and amplify it.
Right.
And give unimportance. Yeah.
Yes. And I find it interesting in the natural world, meaning the forest, the animals, that world. That does not happen. A willow tree doesn't say to the tree that's of a different oak down 2 trees down, look at here, get out of our forest. They figure out a way to use the ecosystem themselves and thrive. And they thrive because of their ability to not look, they say, but we're of like. Yes. And so you're a tree, I'm a tree. Our roots are connected under the ground. How you doing? Let's live it through this storm. We're going to make it through this storm because we connect our roots.
Yes. It's really true. Underneath, I didn't know this, but it's kind of a side conversation, but it ties it together in an interesting way, which is underneath the forest. I didn't realize it is the third kingdom called mycelium. And I've heard this before, but in a passing way, but not in a studied way. Yes. And I've studied it a bit now. And it's fascinating to know that there's animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the third kingdom. And many people don't remember this. We're taught it, but in such a passing way because it's very new. And so there's this whole communication system called mycelium under the ground in the forest that the trees communicate through. So the conversation you just had, it's a real conversation. Apparently trees really are kind of talking through the network.
I've read that. I know about that. That is amazing to me.
It still just blows my mind. I'm looking out here.
Way before us. And so what are the story? I mean, they must be looking at us going, those crazy people.
We are absolutely a flash in the pan, right? I mean, they've been through the dinosaur thing. They were here before the dinosaur. They saw the dinosaurs go. They're like, this human thing, this weird thing running around. Yeah. I don't give how long do you give it? A millennium. We'll never make it a millennium. They're going to kill each other before.
Oh my gosh. But Ken, I know I learned about that. And I recently read a book, and I'm going to forget his name. He's a Japanese author who looked at water and looked at the tiny drops of water and it's in their reaction to sound to
he froze them, right? He froze them with the different music, right?
Yes. And it is amazing to see the reaction, but the beauty. See, this is what I'm going. The beauty that came out of a little drop of water that he froze in time, listening to different forms of music and sound. And if this is my thing, if we as humans started to really look at the vibration that we bring out. You talked a little bit about that too. Your vibration that you bring into the world doesn't mean you don't hurt. Doesn't mean I have arthritis in my left knee from track long time ago, and it's going to be there. I'm going to take it on. But at the end of the day, get up and try every day to start anew. It doesn't mean you have to become me or Ken, but be your best self. Find out who that person is. I love your self part because, Ken, I always tell people when Michelle Pope hated herself, she hated everybody else.
Oh, interesting.
It was easy to say, they don't like me because I didn't like me. Or, they're talking about me, so I don't need to have those people. You find reasoning for and then you throw it on other people, and they're looking at you like, girlfriend, I don't know what's up, but I've never done anything to you. So when you heal, and healing is a great thing, and it's a lifelong thing, I think, from many things that have happened to us. I heard you speak of a woman that was sexually abused. Well, that's a lifelong journey
it's just,
to heal from that.
yeah, and maybe never heal, right? You just kind of,
You know, but again, making the step to reconciliation so that you can move beyond and let go of the cord that attaches you to the person, place, or thing that caused the abuse.
yeah, and I think you do. I mean, you might the scar might be there. It still might even be a bit of a wound, but I do think you grow around it stronger. I think the people I've met have been through the more the hardship, it seems like people come out of it even harder.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It is,
and more open too, don't you think? I mean, because I think more open to, boom, it's like a bursting of the heart. Where it bursts open through the magnitude of pain and pressure. It's almost like a volcano, boom.
Yeah.
And then you become more glorious. You shine a little bit more.
The radar is there, right? You can feel when you are near somebody like that, you can absolutely feel the heart is this kind of, giant organ, and it is pump, you feel, and you're like sitting next to them. And I get, fun thing about my journey is I get to sit next to people, and I really do, so I showed the jar earlier, but it was blurred.
Yeah, show it now. There it is, folks.
So, there, as you can see the jar, the questions, and, inside the 400, and it's so powerful to sit with somebody face to face in the room. And you do feel, I feel the different energies of different people. Sometimes bad, even some tough energies, real situation is I never know who I'm going to meet.
Yes.
And so it is a bit, it's a bit interesting. I open they open the door, I open the door, and, we're looking at each other and we're going to go through this together. And so it is it's always interesting. You never know where it's going to go.
How do you contact those people? I mean, do they contact you and say, come visit me? Or how does this happen? Because we might have to bring you personally to Life is a Sacred Journey.
Yeah, so I go to a city. So I'm in Atlanta now. I'm going to go to Charleston, down to Savannah, down to Florida, across Texas now, because I've been to 60 cities.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I started in the Pacific Northwest. And I went all the way, up and down the north of the U.S. and did, like I said, about 60 cities, went all the way up to Maine, all the way down the seaboard, parked in Atlanta in December, take a break, and just do some thinking and kind of reflect on what had happened so far. And it's been a really good reflection. I'm in a great space to do it. And so it's powerful when we just put an ad out in Facebook and just say, hi, the jar's coming to Charleston. Okay. Be a guest. And we just put a, really small kind of a $2 advertisement, run it for a few days, and we get a lot of replies, and, work through those. And we don't really curate. It's mostly just who's first and who's kind of responds with the right, the documents and everything we need to get the show done. And sometimes I will go to LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
So there are some interesting, niches that I'd like to kind of play with. And the LinkedIn interview is different from a Facebook interview, right? People do take it more of a business side. It is a little bit different, although it can be very human. The conversation is very human, but I can find interesting business people. And then sometimes I pick up people in the bar, because I'm alone, I'm traveling alone.
I love that.
And I rock up into I'm looking for food. And so where do you go? Sometimes a hamburger, might be a brewery. For example, the best example is go to a brewery, and, there's the beer stuff, and, everybody's kind of, if you sit at the bar of any restaurant, there's people there alone or business people traveling, right? And so there are people that want to talk. They're okay to talk. Usually, you sit down next to somebody that, maybe they talk, maybe they don't. But I have my little cards, and I have a business card, and the business card kind of looks like this. It's got my, it's got my logo on it. It's got my name. And then on the back, it's got a question. So I will sit down to the bar and I'll be like, hi, how about a question of the day? and I'll do this with the server for sure. Anybody I meet along the way gets a question of the day, and they pull the card and then they look at it and then they'll read the question, and sometimes they're like, "Do I have to answer it now?" I'm like, "Well, no, of course not. You don't have to answer it now, but it'd be cool.
Mhm.
It'd be cool if you did." And then, quite often people share. Quite often they look at it and they go, "Man, I don't think I want to share that." But amazing, Michelle, how many people really are open. I've only had, and I'm pretty obnoxious. I mean, I'm an insurance. We can qualify this. I'm an insurance salesperson. I've used to asking people what kind of, when was the last time you were in the hospital? What kind of medications do you take? I'm so comfortable at, I ask ladies and without even any even kind of thought, how old are you? What do you weigh? How much do you weigh? Are you on meds? When was the last time you were at the doctor? What was the result? Have you ever? So I'm so used to asking questions. It doesn't faze me. So, I'll easily ask anybody that comes near me. How about a question of the day? And so it is kind of a fun tool to go around and engage people.
And are you going to put this in? Is this so that when you do this, it's a live podcast then that goes out, or do you just put it on the podcast later? Do you do it?
Those questions, like the casual stuff, I unfortunately I'm not recording. Like I wish I had so many times. It's so impromptu. And but of course the show, we record and we got a little bit of video. Yeah, the impromptu stuff is really fun. That's almost the book stuff where I can, in between the interviews, what happens when you're traveling to 111 cities and you're meeting Americans along the way in the most, fun way. I come out of a shop. I've got this big, beautiful van, and I come out of the shop, and there's some guy. I'm in Scottsbluff or Minot, North Dakota. I was in Minot, North Dakota, getting something for the van, and I parked the van, kind of obnoxiously because it's big, and I use it as an advertisement. And I come out, and there's some gentleman standing there admiring the van, as men do. Asking me man questions about the van.
Yes.
And it turns out he's quite proud of his van. So it's really a ploy to get me to see his Toyota van. Right. And so he can tell me the story. And it's great. He's a great, he's a crazy guy. He's got a Japanese van. It's the steering wheel's on the wrong side. It's like this, it's this really interesting story. And he's a really interesting guy. 2 days later, he's in my Airbnb, and we're doing an interview. Just some random stranger I met in the parking lot. And this is what it's like when you just are open, and the universe just sends you stuff.
Yes. So you are a grandfather, and I know that's special to you. And being a parent, I know I'm not a grandparent yet, but soon. And but I know all of that too has created Ken, right? Those relationships it's a very different thing. I'm beginning to understand. I love my children, but in preparing for my granddaughter to arrive, I am so giddy. And I think because I'm thankful I'm still here, and I want to infuse her with everything that
you can't, right? Like there's not enough time left to teach her, right? Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to record stuff, I need to write stuff.
This is what you're doing, Michelle. Here is great. This is an absolute. Imagine if you had this of your mom and dad.
I know, right?
Or your grandparents. You could reach back in time and watch it, what they thought, and talk to people.
That's what somebody asked me the other day, Ken. I was interviewed for something, and they used the word history. They said, Michelle, how would you like to go down in history? And they sent me the question ahead of time, and I thought, I'm not feeling that. That doesn't feel good to me. And
that's a terrible question.
Oh my gosh. I was like, history, I'm not going down in history. but then what I said, because everybody thinks you want to be historical. You want your name on a dollar bill, on a bill.
No.
And I'm like, no. I said, you know what it is for me now? It's the legacy for my children, my grandchildren,
Absolutely.
my great-great-grand, the great-great-great-great, the ones that I won't even ever know, but they will be able, just like you said, to look back and say, oh man, Nene Michelle did this, or, oh, I want to do that because Nene did that, or are those Nene's cowboy boots? Those are cool. Can I have
Those are cool, right?
Right? It is more about that form of legacy than it is. And if I change the world, if I'm living out my purpose and living my heart abundantly, and I change the world a little bit, that's cool too.
Yeah. Well, and you're by leaving that legacy, that knowledge, it may not be you that changes the world. It may be somebody that you influenced. And that's even more beautiful.
That is more beautiful. So I missed you then. I think you've already been to California, it sounds like.
Oh, are you in LA or where you at?
In Berkeley.
Well, I'm coming there. Wait for me.
All right, so I will look for you. I'll keep tracking you. And
wait for me. It's going to be a while, though. I got a bit of country.
Okay. That's okay. You give me another reason to live. You know, you got to.
Yeah. Well, when I see you, you'll be a grandmama.
Yeah, I'll be a grandmama at that point.
Oh, so, I love it.
I am. Gosh, I don't want to let Ken go. Ken Stearns is this amazing person that now I have in my that will. Same. Jump across my heart from time to time, that I will think about. I'll look to see where he is in the world and what he's doing. And friends, I want to share this with you because it's in my heart right this second, and I'll forget it if I don't share it with you. Relationships are not just the relationships of people that you talk to every day. There are people who I have met on Life is a Sacred Journey, and when they come back for the second visit, my heart, it's like Christmas. It's like a package that
man,
open, and I may not talk to them in between that time.
Yeah.
But it's the connection, people. I keep telling you, stop bumping up into people in the grocery store without going, "Hey, how you doing?"
That's so powerful, Michelle.
Right, Ken?
I am telling you, my question of the day has given me the confidence that everybody craves human contact and meaningful contact. Like, how are you? Like, really, how are you? My questions are not like questions. I give these questions out to absolute random strangers. A couple thousand times I've gone through, and I tell you what, the cards aren't cheap. They're $1 each because they're super quality. And so, because when I want people to touch it, they feel it. And so, anyway, you're right. Don't just bump into people. Everybody's dying to know a little bit something about you and to have some human contact.
And we're all a story, friends.
Oh, man, so true.
Story. You know, stop wasting time with television and reality TV and all that gobbledygook. Get out here and start meeting some people. Their stories are more profound. And if you like horror, there's some horror out there too.
It's the real world is way crazier than anything Instagram or Facebook can make up, or Netflix. Let me tell you, I have heard the stories that make, Netflix writers need to take a creative writing class because they're not creative enough.
No, because you can find that, I'm one of those people, I'm like, oh gosh, I already know how this is going to end. And sure enough, it ends that way. My kids were like, Mom, I'm like, yeah, but I've done this 100 times. I'm old enough now that I've seen it 100 million times.
Literally 100 times, right? Yeah.
So at the end of the day, friends, Ken Stearns, go to his website. It has information about the book. And are you writing another book at this time as you're going along?
Yeah, there's a couple things are cooking. The book that I'm working on now is more to kind of help with the public speaking, and that's I'm calling it Ken's Rules.
Okay.
Right now, and I've got some rules of life. That's even another whole conversation. But I've got some rules, some business rules, and I'm working on the business rules one. And then I've got some ideas, things that I picked up along the way for the life side. So I think there's 2 books, one for business, kind of business hacks, life hacks. And then the next one, I think there's going to be Dear Dad. because that was the original book, not Dear God, but the original book was Dear Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's somewhere in here, there's a story about, what happens in between the jar,
Yeah.
Between the jars.
There you go.
So I got to get busy.
You got to get busy, but you got time, dude. You got plenty of time. I another last gem, and Ken, please, let's stay in touch. I want to make sure that every time you're doing something that we are promoting it here at Life is a Sacred Journey, because it totally matches 100% our vision and mission that and I have. It's not about becoming change agents. If that happens, then we're thankful. It's not about making any money, even though we do make a little bit, and we're thankful. It's more about people. It's about the people and the humanity that we are walking on this planet with.
Yes.
And I realize that we're all in this together. When the pandemic happened, everybody was affected by it. It was nobody on the face of the planet that got away from being affected by the pandemic.
Interesting.
Right? Whether they got it, family member got it, they were traveling, whatever, that they were affected by it. So when you think that you're separate from other people, think back to 2019 going into 2020, 2021, and realize how you're not that special by yourself.
We're all in this together.
But together, we are amazing, and we are wonderful, and we are magnificent. And so that brings me to the 988, which is the suicide hotline.
That's right.
Life is a Sacred Journey this way every single week. If you are sad, if you're feeling like the world doesn't love you, because those of us that have made it through storms, we know that feeling. And you will make it through, but call 988 so that you get the support that you need. Your life is important. I may not know you, but if you take your life, my life will change. Everybody's life will change, because you're important to the humanity and to that underbelly of the humanity life.
Yeah, it's like the mycelium, right? We're all connected in this. We're all connected in this way. I think if you're in that dark place, reach out. There's another person right next to you in the darkness, and they need your hand too.
Amen. Yes. So folks,
you're not alone.
You're not alone. And as I told you, I've been there. So you look at me and you think, oh, Michelle's so wonderful. She's got it going on. No, there was a time that Michelle thought that she was not worth anything, and that she would be better off gone. Now I'm here to tell you I'm living my best season, but it wasn't easy. So don't think it's ever going to be easy, because it's not. But it will be joyful, and you will find so many people on the other side that will meet you halfway. So Ken Stearns is going to stay on for a minute, but what I'm going to say to you is have a good weekend. Pet a cat, very therapeutic. Pet a dog, looking at their eyes, very therapeutic. Hug a tree and think about what's going on under there.
The mycelium's talking to you.
Yes, we done learned something new today, friends. Hug that tree. Tell that tree your story.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe you can't tell it to another human being, but tell it to the tree.
Yeah.
Smile. And like Ken said, turn to somebody and say, how you doing? With your face all lit up.
Oh God, yeah. And that will freak you'll be
them out. I'm telling you. I do it all the time. And people say to me, they go, hi.
Hi. Yeah, let's go do that, everybody, all weekend long. Let's just go up and just be obnoxiously happy to somebody and just see their reaction.
And be the joy that you need, that we need in this world. That's a good one, Ken. All weekend long. Life is a Sacred Journey followers. Tell somebody else. Tell 2 other people, and you do it with them. Smile. Have laughter in your heart. You don't even have a joke in your head that you're constantly smiling and laughing. Not at, but with.
Real.
Space of happiness. Go out and do that, and then write in the chat and tell us how you did.
Hand it out, just hand it out sunshine.
hand out some sunshine. All right. Life is a sacred journey, friends. We love you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Ken, stay